port city of Pelargir, you are greeted by Lord Alcaron, who takes you to the Leaping Fish, where you can speak privately. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Line Unbroken, my progression-style playthrough series of the Lord of the Rings living card game. I am playing the Nightmare version of the first quest from the Heirs of Numenor Deluxe expansion, Peril in Pelargir. So, both of these starting hands are pretty great. I mulliganed this one because the initial starting hand didn't have anything that I really want right at the start of the game, but now I have Steward of Gondor, Asphaleth, and Light of Valinor, all of which are fantastic to start with. Over here I have Elven Mail to make Elrahir into a Sentinel. I have a weapon so that I can trigger Foe Hammer, which I also have. I have a Vassal of the Windlord who is great for battle questing, and Mighty Prowess is nice. So this is all very good. So, I am playing Nightmare mode. Forced, at the end of the combat phase, if Alcaron's scroll is in the staging area, attach it to the enemy and play with the highest defense. Forced, at the beginning of the refresh phase, if Alcaron's scroll is attached to an enemy, place one progress token on that enemy. If at any point there are 3 or more progress tokens on an enemy, that enemy has escaped with the scroll and the players lose the game. Setup. Search the encounter deck for the Leaping Fish and Alcaron's scroll. Make the Leaping Fish the active location and attach Alcaron's scroll to a hero. I will attach Alcaron's scroll to Mablung. Despite this mechanic, which tries to punish you for dropping the scroll, I am still intending to drop the scroll immediately, if I can, because of the effect on the Leaping Fish. We're forced at the beginning of the quest phase to discard X cards from the top of the encounter deck, where X is the number of players in the game. Add each enemy discarded by this effect to the staging area. I am perfectly okay with picking up the scroll once this location is gone, but until it is gone, I want to be rid of the scroll, so I don't keep getting extra enemies. Inside the tavern, Lord Alcaron looks nervously toward the door as he hands you a scroll bearing the seal of Gondor. He asks that you deliver it to Faramir in Ithilien, but the brigands who just entered look intent on taking it from you. Battle. When revealed, each player must search the encounter deck for a copy of Harbour Thug and add it to the staging area. Shuffle the encounter deck. So these Harbour Thugs are, by modern or Nightmare standards, not really that dangerous. Here they are. So shuffle and Control N. Let's begin the game. Beaufort, decent card. Stand and fight, reasonable. Okay, so I think for my immediate start, I want to put Elven Mail onto Elrahir and this Dagger of Westerness onto Eladan, so that he can trigger Foe Hammer. Over here, I want Light of Valinor, of course, and that is it. If possible, I would like to hold on to Elrahir's resource so he can play Steward of Gondor next round, but that may not be an option, depending on the number of enemies. So, if Alcaron's scroll is attached to a hero, which it is, the Leaping Fish gains forced at the beginning of the quest phase. Discard X cards from the top of the encounter deck, where X is the number of players in the game. Add each enemy discarded by this effect to the staging area. So I get this Harbour Brute as well. He was not revealed, though his when revealed only applies if the scroll is attached to an enemy. This is 8 threat in the staging area, which is unfortunate, but I will quest nonetheless for only 5, as I really want to be able to deal with the enemies. So we reveal Lurking in Shadows return all brigand enemies engaged with players to the staging area. If this effect returned no brigand enemies to the staging area, it gains Surge. Lost-Act Bandit takes damage from Tharlin, and Zealous Traitor takes a damage from Tharlin. This is far too many enemies. I might just die instantly. I've added 5 threat to the staging area, and both decks raise their threat by 8. So, okay, engagement cost 38. I can deal with this one. The deck controlling Alcaron's scroll just raised its threat, which means the Harbour Thugs engage that player. Mablung gains a resource. for engaging an enemy. Now, I will optionally engage the Losnak Bandit, gain another resource, and the Zealous Traitor will... when Losnak Bandit engages a player, that player discards one resource from each of his hero's resource pools. 2 instead, it was not optionally engaged. So I lose this resource and then gain another resource. Forced comes before response, though it doesn't matter because it evens out. And then the Zealous Traitor will naturally engage here, deal 1 damage to each ally he controls. I don't control any. So, 4 enemies. Haldir. This deck did not engage an enemy, so Haldir can use his combat action to kill the Zealous Traitor before it attacks. I will defend the first Harbour Thug with Mablung. So he takes 1 damage. Forced, when the hero with Alcaron's Scroll attached is damaged by an enemy attack, attach Alcaron's Scroll to that enemy. So I've attached Alcaron's Scroll specifically to an enemy that will be fairly easy to kill. And now I suppose, unless I want to risk an undefended, which would be a sizable risk, I may have to postpone getting Steward of Gondor into play, but that's okay. So Elrahir defends, pays a resource to ready. Okay, so I could have taken that undefended and it would have been alright, but you know, we want to be safe with this. Glorfindel's not ranged, so he can't do anything. Eladan will attack for 4. Of course, it's 1+2 for Elrahir and +1 for the Dagger of Westerness. So this is enough to kill this Harbour Thug. I'm going for the one without Alcaron's Scroll attached because the forced effect on the Nightmare card will attach Alcaron's Scroll to the enemy with the highest defense, which would be this guy. Much more difficult to kill than the Harbour Thug, who currently has the scroll. I will, of course, also trigger Foe Hammer and draw 3 more cards. Okay. Now we discard shadow cards, and at the beginning of the refresh phase, add a progress token to this Harbour Thug with the scroll. Control N. This might seem like not an ideal start, given the sizable threat raise, but it's kind of okay, actually. I will attach Asphalth to Glorfindel. Now, I have 4 resources over here. I definitely want to put a Gondorian Shield onto Elrahir. I definitely want to play this Vassal of the Windlord. I think Mighty Prowess on Eladan is also a good idea. That's all I can really afford. So, 4 threat in the staging area. We quest for 3, 5, 8. I think I probably still want to hold back Mablung because of the number of enemies, but I don't have to trigger this effect this time. So, questing for 8 against 4. Lost in the City. Okay, each player must search the encounter deck and discard part of 1 city location and add it to the staging area. If able, shuffle the encounter deck. This effect cannot be cancelled. So we come in here and grab 2 copies of the City Street. Shuffle the encounter deck, and Pelargir Ringleader takes damage from Tharlin. I will exhaust Asphalth to explore one of the city streets. So I've added 4 threat to the staging area, and I break even. Which is not ideal, but it's manageable, at least. Unfortunately, I do now have to engage both of these enemies, and the Pelargir Ringleader has a forced effect, which this is actually the second time I have tried to record this quest, because the first time, when I was approaching the end of the quest, I realised I'd been ignoring the forced effect on the Pelargir Ringleader all game. So, when Pelargir Ringleader engages a player, return the topmost brigand enemy in the encounter discard pile to play engaged with that player. So, once again, I would say that I might just die instantly at this point. It's possible. This is the encounter deck, not the discard pile. The discard pile, the topmost brigand enemy is a LotR bandit. Okay, I think I'm going to have something engaged over here. Haldir can't one-shot anything, so losing access to his ability is not as big a deal as it might be. And this way, I can potentially take an undefended attack on Glorfindel, and also Glorfindel can actually attack. So, yes, the question is, of course, which enemy would make the most sense to have over here? Yeah, I think we're going to have the Harbour Brute come down here and the Pelargir Ringleader here. And of course, when the Pelargir Ringleader engages, I return that LotR bandit from the discard pile. Triggering the forced effect, which loses me a resource, and then triggering Mablung's response to gain a resource. Well, it loses me 2 resources from each hero, but I only had the 1 on Eladan. This is unfortunate. Having that extra resource on Eladan could obviously have allowed me to make more attacks. I could have put these the other way around. So actually, no, I mean, it means I lose out on Steward of Gondor again if I do it this way, but I might actually be able to kill more enemies this way around, so... Or maybe not, because I might not be able to defend the enemies without that resource on Elrahir. So, yeah, okay, we'll put it back this way. Okay. This is also... No, I'm continuing to change my mind. So, this way around. Now, I take the Ringleader undefended. If the defending player controls a hero with Alchron Scroll, I don't. 3 damage. Let's see, probably an undefended. I think this has to be undefended as well. Yeah, undefended. Discards all resources. Well, I don't have any. Elrahir defends this. Mablung defends this. 1 more damage, and undefended. +2 attack, dead hero. Game over, basically. I mean, I might be able to manage without Thalin, but with this many enemies in play, it's just a matter of time before I'm dead. So, we'll have to try this again. So, attempt number 3. This is a decent opening hand. Alone shields, 2 weapons. Goblin Cleaver could come in quite handy. Oh, I forgot to take control back of this hand and set the visibility to everybody. Deep Knowledge, actually, a pretty good start. Not just for the card draw, but for the fact it will immediately raise the threat of the deck controlling Alcaron's Scroll which will pull these harbour thugs out of the staging area, so it's less likely that I quest unsuccessfully. So Control N, okay. Right, so immediately, Deep Knowledge. And that pulls the harbour thugs out of the staging area, and Mablung gains a resource. And then Deep Knowledge again, why not? Okay. Interesting, okay. So now I have 4 resources to spend. I should definitely immediately put a bow on Haldir. I should put a Rivendell Blade on Eladan. Gondorian Shield on Elrahir. And actually I could save Eladan's resource for more attacks under the circumstances. That seems like a reasonable idea. Or I could give him another weapon, so then I would be able to do Goblin Cleaver and Foe Hammer. So let's give him his Dagger of Westerness. Over here, obviously, I can't afford Steward of Gondor. I can afford the Dunedain Signal, which actually is probably a good idea to just start with that. Just to be sure, because I could end up with a lot of enemies. And I would like to maintain the Haldir option, obviously. Save a Spirit Resource, Test of Will. Nothing else I could spend it on anyway. So, okay, questing 2, 5, raising my threat with Orphandale. Just 5 against an empty staging area. Harbour Thug takes the damage from Tharlin. Harbour Brute takes the damage from Tharlin. 6 threat in the staging area. So we raise our threats by 1. Which means this Harbour Thug engages the player with Alcaron's Scroll. Oh, no, sorry. Leaping Fish. Leaping Fish. These 2 enemies were discarded by the Leaping Fish. And then I revealed these. So in fact, that's another 5 threat. So I raise my threat by another 5. Okay. This does engage. Mablung does gain a resource. This is a lot of extra threat, but... Okay, so this deck does not have to engage the Harbour Brute, so we will optionally engage this. While Alcaron's Scroll is attached to a hero, Cunning Informant gets +3 attack. And during the encounter phase, if Alcaron's Scroll is attached to a hero, that hero's controller is considered to have +10 threat for the purpose of engagement checks. Well, this was going to end up engaging me anyway. Mablung gains another resource. So, this might look like far too many enemies, but Goblin Cleaver. Let's kill the Cunning Informant. He only had 2 hit points left. Haldir, let's kill a Harbour Thug. Mablung defends against a Harbour Thug. Takes 1 damage. The Harbour Thug takes Alcaron's Scroll. And yeah, okay, so there's still slightly too many attacks, but only slightly. Elrahir will defend against the Harbour Brute. Attacking enemy gets +2, so that's 6 attack against 4 defense, 2 damage. And this I have to take undefended. 3 damage to Eladan. Well, I didn't have to take it undefended, but I want to be able to kill the Harbour Thug afterwards, which I can do. Actually, for ignoring 2 points of defense, no, I couldn't take out the Brute. Foe Hammer, draw 3 cards. So there we go. Not so insurmountable. Control N, new round. Trained for war, ready for stage 3. Okay. Still no light of Valinor. Oh, I have noiseless movement. I need to remember about this. Given that I have noiseless movement, I'm not actually going to play the Warden of Healing or Asphalloth or the Athelian Tracker, all of which would be good options, but noiseless movement is potentially very strategically useful here. So let's see. I have 5 resources. So I could play Gandalf. The threat is obviously a risk, especially since I don't have a Galadhrim's Greeting in hand right now, but he adds so much. And I can just let him get discarded, especially since I have an extra copy in hand. So I'm going to go for this. 2 threat in the staging area. Request for 2, 6. 8. Yeah, I will send Glorfindel. So, questing for 11. Oh, there should be a progress token on the Harbour Thug. 11. Okay, lost in the city, so let's grab 2 city streets. City street, city street. And Losanak Bandit takes damage from Tharlin. Okay, so that's added 7 threat. I make 2 progress. In some ways, I kind of wish that I had Asphalloth now. I could just knock out a city street immediately, but on the other hand, alright, now I can play Noiseless Movement. Choose an enemy in the staging area. That enemy does not make engagement checks this round. So I can just leave this Losanak Bandit in the staging area. So now we come to the combat phase. Haldir attacks for 5 against enemies not engaged with him. So we kill the Losanak Bandit in the staging area. There should be shadow cards here. Now, I'm not going to be able to kill the Harbour Brute. Oh, actually, no, hang on. I could kill the Harbour Brute. 4, ignoring 2 points of defense. 8, ignoring 2 points of defense. Yeah, I could kill the Harbour Brute. So, okay, once again, I will be spending over his resource to ready him after defending. Defending player discards all resources in his hero's resource pools. Don't have any. And then over here we'll also defend the Harbour Thug. No shadow effect. And then I'm going to kill the Harbour Brute. This does mean that the Harbour Thug is up to 2 progress, 1 more, and he escapes with the scroll, but he's the only enemy in play. I get an extra 2 points of threat for Gandalf. Control N. Still can't play Steward of Gondor. Okay. So now the enemies are more under control. I think now is the time for Asphalloth. And I'm just going to clear out a city street immediately, because I don't think there's going to be a better option. Oh! This deck plays first, so I could play Gandalf's Staff, exhausted to get an extra resource on Elrihir, play Steward of Gondor. That seems like a pretty good idea. Even though I might let Gandalf leave play, getting that immediate boost now of getting Steward of Gondor into play will have a big impact in the long run. Especially because it's Steward of Gondor on Elra here, so that's like all my defenses taken care of for the rest of the game by spending those extra 2 resources and potentially losing this card. Now, if I engage another enemy, Mablung will get a resource, so I don't have to worry about saving for a feint. I could worry about saving a resource for Eladan to ready to make more attacks. I mean, okay, there's 4 threat in the staging area. I probably do still want to be questing with Glorfindel, so no point in giving him a Rivendell bow. So I guess I just save this resource. And we quest for 2, 4, 8, 11. Raising my threat by another 1. 11. Bedlam in the streets. Either remove the hero he controls from the quest or engage an enemy in the staging area. There are no enemies in the staging area. I could cancel this, though. I think that's a good idea. Cancelled, and Zealous Traitor. Takes the damage from Tharlin. That's 2 threat added. Make 5 progress. Leaping Fish goes to the victory display. I travel to the city street because I don't have an option. Oh, while Dockside Street is in the staging area, enemies in the staging area cannot be damaged, but Tharlin deals damage before the enemy actually reaches the staging area, I believe. It's sort of in a nebulous state between the encounter deck and the staging area as it's being revealed and taking the damage from Tharlin. It can't be optionally engaged, so I will have to just let this engage naturally. I gain a resource on Mablung and have to deal 2 points of damage to Gandalf. But he has the hit points for it, so this is fine. Haldir will kill the Harbour Thug. Just in case. Yeah. See, that shadow effect, if I had chosen to kill the traitor instead, then that shadow effect would have moved the Harbour Thug back to the staging area where I wouldn't have been able to attack it. Haldir would be the only one who could attack it. And I would have already used his ability on the traitor. So much better to do it this way around. Over here will defend against the traitor. That's fine. And let's kill him. Okay, I think I will keep Gandalf in play for at least 1 more round. There's Light of Valinor. Exhaust Steward. I'm going to exhaust Gandalf's staff to have this deck draw a card. Light of Valinor. Okay, so Gandalf is going away at the end of this round because I don't have the threat reduction. Let's see, it's at the end of the refresh phase, so I will actually be able to trigger Gandalf's staff 1 more time before he leaves. That's all I can do on this side of the table. Let's attach Mighty Prowess to Eladan. Now I can give a Rivendell bow to Glorfindel because he'll be ready in the combat phase, so there'll be a use for it. And I don't get the damage, but the extra attack from the Galadon Archer will be useful. So, 2 threat in the staging area. Request for 2, 4, 6, 10, 13. And reveal. Pelargir Ringleader takes damage from Tharlin. Lurking in shadows, return all brigand enemies to the staging area. Against Surge. Cunning Informant takes a damage from Tharlin. So, I've added 5 additional threat. I make 6 progress. If I were to use Asphalloth on the city street, then I would advance the quest. Of course, right now... no, this deck is first player, so it's going to end up engaging something anyway, unless I use Noiseless Movement. Oh, but... yeah, I can't travel to the dockside street regardless. So yeah, I will exhaust Asphalloth, targeting the city street. So 2 more progress gets onto the quest, meaning I advance. During the fight in the tavern, one of your adversaries managed to grab Alcaron's scroll and flee outside. You chase the thief into the street where he was surrounded by a gang of his fellow brigands. You must fight your way through the mob and recover the scroll. Battle. The players cannot advance to the next stage unless Alcaron's scroll is attached to a hero. When revealed, attach Alcaron's scroll to the highest engagement cost enemy in play if able. Otherwise added to the staging area. So that would be the ringleader. And okay, I cannot travel here. I would need to exhaust the hero with Alcaron's scroll attached. And there isn't one. So, natural engagements. And when this engages, I have to find the topmost brigand enemy in the discard pile, which is this Zealous Traitor. So that will deal 2 damage to each ally I control. So there we go. And this will then engage here. Madeline gains a resource. I am not concerned about this. Elrahir defends this. He also defends this. If the defending player controls a hero with Alcaron's scroll attached. I do not. I think I may want Elrahir's attack available. It's going to take 6 to kill this guy. Maybe not. I don't think I can deal with the Zealous Traitor regardless. Or, no, I can't because Eladan is not ranged. And Goblin Cleaver only works on enemies engaged with you. So I can use it to kill this Cunning Informant, but then Eladan would have nothing to do. So Elrahir does not need to ready after this defense. If the defending player controls a hero on a Alcaron's scroll is not attached to a hero, it's over here. So we attack for 6, 7, and kill this guy. Alcaron's scroll goes to the staging area. Eladan kills the Cunning Informant. We are left with the Zealous Traitor, who will pick up the scroll. Control R. Refresh phase. I will exhaust Gandalf's staff to add another resource to Haldir. And then discard Gandalf from play rather than raise my threat anymore. Actually, maybe rather than the resource, I should have just drawn this deck another card. Control N. New round. There we go, there's greeting. So I'm not going to immediately play Gandalf again. I will put this Rivendell bow onto Eladan, since there is an enemy engaged over here, but more significantly, put a progress on here, more significantly I just drew Hands Upon the Bow, so That will be useful to allow Eladan to potentially attack into the staging area if it comes up. And that's all I'll be doing over there. Here, let's get a Warden of Healing into play and save my other resources. I really need an Errand Rider, or several, to start moving Elrahir's resources to where they're actually needed. 2 threaten the staging area. Quest for 2, 4, 6, 9. Just 9. The Thieves' Ploy. Surge. If Alcaron Scroll is attached to a hero, so just Surge. They're getting away. Surge. If Alcaron Scroll is attached to an enemy, choose one. Either add 1 progress token to that enemy, or each card in the staging area gets +2 threat until the end of the phase. Okay. It's fine. I can kill him before the end of the combat phase. City Street also surges. So this is still the first card of staging. Okay, this time I either add the threat or cancel this effect. Oh, I don't have a Test of Will, so I add the threat. So let's just keep that there so I remember. This is still the first card of staging. Zealous Traitor takes a damage from Tharlin. Lost Knight Bandit takes a damage from Tharlin. So, 3, 5, 7, 9... plus an extra 8. But, okay. So, Hands Upon the Bow. Eladan will be attacking for 4, 5, ignoring 2 points of defense. So, yep, we can kill the Lost Knight Bandit. So now, everything is +2 threat from this. So that's 4, 8, 12. I'm still going to threat out. But yeah, given that I didn't have a Test of Will, I could have just done this immediately. Drop down to 41 threat. So, 12 threat in the staging area. Oh, also, no, I can use Asphalth to explore the city street. 10 threat in the staging area. And that is all I can do. But that's doing pretty well. So we quest unsuccessfully by 1. I still can't travel to the Dockside Street, which means I still can't do optional engagements, which means the Zealous Traitor will naturally engage here and kill my Galvan Archer. But I want it here. I want to keep my Warden of Healing alive. Speaking of which, I will heal Elrahir and Eladan. So, given there is a risk of this traitor leaving, I'm not actually going to use Haldir's ability to kill this one. Elrahir can just defend it. Oh, I should have spent... no, I didn't need to spend a resource from Eladan to ready him after that. Hands Upon the Bow. Glorfindel can do this. So, Elrahir will defend against this traitor. Any damage dealt by this attack is dealt to the hero with Alcaron's Scroll attached, which there isn't one. Elrahir will also defend this. Okay, he sticks around. So, Glorfindel can kill this traitor, and Haldir can kill this traitor, and Alcaron's Scroll goes back to the staging area. Yeah, okay, actually, No, that wouldn't help, unless I draw an unexpected courage. So we're just going to leave this, continue coping with everything. Control N. Another greeting. And okay. And okay, yeah, nothing to play on either side. I could play Gandalf again, but I'm not going to. Questing for 2, 4, 8. I need some more attack power from somewhere, but 8 against 2. Pelargir docks, and Harbour Route takes the damage from Tharlin. Alcaron Scroll is not attached to an enemy. So that's now 10 threat. We will put 2 progress on the Pelargir docks, and then not have any choice about this guy engaging here after we lose the quest by 2. Okay, so now 4, 2 points of 8, ignoring 2 points of defense. Yeah, this is fine. So Elra here is defending this. Defending player discards all resources in his hero's resource pools. That's annoying. That's a lot of resources. Let's heal the twins. But now I will attack for 4, 8, ignoring 2 points of defense. Kill the Harbour Brute. Exhaust Glorfindel to claim Alcaron's scroll. So I should be able to finally travel to this dockside street. Control N. Steward. Okay, so I could play Gandalf again. But I don't think I'm going to. I could play an Ancient Matham onto the Pelargir docks and then explore them with Asphalloth. But again, I don't think I'm going to, because I think I want this deck to be drawing the cards. And it's not currently first player, so nothing for planning. 6 threat in the staging area, though I'm probably going to Asphalloth the docks. Questing for 2, 4, 8. I'm almost certainly going to Asphalloth the docks. Yep. Battle in the streets. Either remove a hero he controls from the quest or engage an enemy. Okay, so I lose 5 attack from the quest. Hang on, how does this even add up? 2, 4, 7. Have I been doing that wrong? Should I be higher threat than I am? Because I did just fail the quest. I think I should have 1 extra point of threat on each side. Okay, this is worrying. Another dockside street. So, I will Asphalloth the Pelargir docks. So we're down to 4 threat in the staging area, and I'm going to threat out at the end of the round. Fantastic. I should have played Gandalf.